can't go back, that ass back, you can't go back, that ass so.
What is finance? Finance is a term for matters regarding the management, creation, and study of money and investments. It involves the use of credit and debt, securities, and investment to finance current projects using future income flows. Because of this temporal aspect, finance is closely linked to the time value of money, interest rates, and other related topics. Finance can be broadly divided into three categories: public finance, corporate finance, personal finance. There are many other specific categories, such as behavioral finance, which seeks to identify the cognitive, e.g., emotional, social, and psychological, reasons behind financial decisions. Key takeaways. Finance is a term broadly describing the study and system of money, investments, and other financial instruments. Finance can be divided broadly into three distinct categories: public finance, corporate finance, and personal finance. More recent subcategories of finance include social finance and behavioral finance. The history of finance and financial activities dates back to the dawn of civilization. While it has roots in scientific fields, such as statistics, economics, and mathematics, finance also includes non-scientific elements that liken it to an art. Understanding finance. Finance is typically broken down into three broad categories: public finance, corporate finance, and personal finance. Public finance includes tax systems, government expenditures, budget procedures, stabilization policy and instruments, debt issues, and other government concerns. Corporate finance involves managing assets, liabilities, revenues, and debts for a business. Personal finance defines all financial decisions and activities of an individual or household, including budgeting, insurance, mortgage planning, savings, and retirement planning. Key finance terms. These are some key finance terms you should be familiar with. Asset. An asset is something of value, such as cash, real estate, or property. A business may have current assets or fixed assets. Liability. A liability is a financial obligation, such as debt. Liabilities can be current or long-term. Balance sheet. A balance sheet is a document that shows a company's assets and its liabilities. Subtract the liabilities from the assets to see the firm's net worth. Cash flow. Cash flow is the movement of money into and out of a business or household. Compound interest. Unlike simple interest, which is interest added to the principal one time, compound interest is calculated and added periodically. This results in interest being charged not only on the principal, but also on the interest already accrued. Equity. Equity means ownership. Stocks are called equities, because each share represents a portion of ownership. Liquidity. Liquidity refers to how easily an asset can be converted to cash. For example, real estate is not a very liquid investment, because it can take weeks or months to sell. Profit. Profit is the money left over after expenses. A profit and loss statement shows how much a business has earned or lost for a particular period. History of finance. Finance, as a study of theory and practice distinct from the field of economics, arose in the 1940s and 1950s with the works of Harry Markowitz, William F. Sharpe, Fisher Black, and Myron Scholes, to name just a few. 1. 2. 3. Particular realms of finance, such as banking, lending, and investing, of course, money itself, have been around since the dawn of civilization in some form or another. The financial transactions of the early Sumerians were formalized in the Babylonian Code of Hammurabi, circa 1800 BCE. This set of rules regulated ownership or rental of land, employment of agricultural labor, and credit. 4. Yes, there were loans back then, and yes, interest was charged on them. Rates varied depending on whether you were borrowing grain or silver. By 1200 BCE, cowrie shells were used as a form of money in China. Coined money was introduced in the first millennium BCE. King Croesus of Lydia, now Turkey, was one of the first to strike and circulate gold coins around 564 BCE, hence the expression, rich as Croesus. 5. In ancient Rome, coins were stored in the basement of temples as priests or temple workers were considered the most honest, devout, and safest to safeguard assets. Temples also loaned money, acting as financial centers of major cities. 6. Early stocks, bonds, and options. Belgium claims to be home to the first exchange, with an exchange in Antwerp dating back to 1531. 7. During the 16th century, the East India Company became the first publicly traded company as it issued stock and paid dividends on proceeds from its voyages. 8. The London Stock Exchange was created in 1773 and was followed by the New York Stock Exchange less than 20 years later. 9. 10. The earliest recorded bond dates back to 2400 BCE, as a stone tablet that recorded debt obligations that guaranteed repayment of grain. 11. During the Middle Ages, governments began issuing debts to fund war efforts. In the 17th century, the Bank of England was created to finance the British Navy. 12. The United States also began issuing treasury bonds to support the Revolutionary War. 13. Options contracts can be found dating back to the Bible. In Genesis chapter 29, Laban offers Jacob the option to marry his daughter in exchange for 7 years of labor. However, this example demonstrates the difficulty of preserving obligations, as Laban reneged on the agreement after Jacob's labor was complete. 14. In Aristotle's 4th-century philosophical work Politics, the early practice of options is outlined through an anecdote by the philosopher Thales. Believing a great future harvest of olives in the coming year, Thales preemptively acquired the rights to all olive presses in Chios and Miletus. 15. Regarding options on an exchange, both forward and options contracts were integrated into Amsterdam's sophisticated clearing process by the mid-17th century.